Alright, hello guys, how's it going? In today's video, we're taking a very exciting look at the month of August. I know this video was late, but we are going to be making our August forecast today. Now, before I get started with this video though, I would ask that you do subscribe if you do like weather-related content, and also make sure to share this video with your friends, family, and social media. Now, I'd also like it if you would check out our very exciting Patreon page in the description and pinned comment down below. That's also where you can find our Discord server and Facebook group. Both of those things are very exciting as well. Check them out. Alright, now for today's comment of the day, I want to know, how do you guys want August to go this year? With how June and July has gone, that might influence your decision. I'm very curious what you guys have to say. I'll be picking one of those for tomorrow's video. Now let's get into this video. And we're starting out with our precipitation forecast, and we're getting right into the below average precipitation region here. And as you can see, basically west of the Rockies here, we're taking a look at some slightly below average precipitation. It's just not going to have a lot of storminess out there. There will be a lot of storminess in the east. We'll touch a little bit on that in a little bit. Also, these areas are going to be mostly, some of these areas might not even see any rain really, and that's pretty typical. It's not unheard of for a lot of these regions. They don't expect to get a lot of rain, so once you kind of bring in the below average precipitation, you're talking about borderline none at that point. So that's really what we're talking about here, folks. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to move on. We're going to continue to talk about the precipitation. We're going to eventually talk about the temperatures, though, and we're also going to talk about our overall forecast at the very end of this video, which will be very, very exciting. Alright, now here we are taking a look at the moderately below average precipitation region, and as you can see, basically for the northern Rockies there, also through portions of the Pacific Northwest, and then back down through the Four Corner States, or I guess the western Four Corner States you could say, or just Utah and Arizona, you could say it that way too. This is an area where I think we are going to be especially below average and especially dry, especially compared to normal here. So again, the further north you go, the more precipitation you average here in this region. So it's going to make a bigger difference up there for areas like Washington, Oregon, Idaho, Montana. Arizona, you might not really notice it because not having any rain isn't really that crazy. And you know that if you live there. Alright, now let's go ahead and start talking about our above average precipitation regions. And as you can see, basically from the upper Midwest, a lot of the plains, down through the south central United States and the deep south, all the way back up through the Ohio Valley, the Mid-Atlantic, and the northeastern United States, we are all taking a look at some slightly above average precipitation. Now, one disclaimer I want to say here for the Great Lakes regions, we were expecting to potentially give you guys a below average precipitation region there. I'm not confident in it enough to add one there, but I just want to let you guys know that it is possible, and I am leaning more towards the side of below average, if anything, for Wisconsin, Michigan, areas like that. I wanted to let you guys know, though it wasn't enough for me to really want to put that color there. It's maybe like a 25% chance of being below average, I would say. But really up and down the eastern seaboard, you have above average precipitation, and that's mostly due to our hurricane that is hitting as we speak. Now what we're going to do is we're going to move on so we can take a look at our moderately and highly above average precipitation regions. So first things first, here is our moderately above average precipitation region, and as you can see from Georgia up through portions of South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia, West Virginia, Maryland, DC, the Delmarva, we see New Jersey, Pennsylvania, New York, and then New England as well. All of these areas have the moderately above average precipitation. And you might be wondering, is this mostly due to Hurricane Isaias that's going on right now? And yes, it is. It is mostly due to that. And where a lot of these areas are going to get above average just from this one storm, obviously, as up to 10 inches of rain can fall. A lot of areas do not average 10 inches per month, so a lot of areas are going to already, by the time we're in the first week, we're going to be above your average, so clearly above average precipitation. But some areas, if not that, will be near average, and obviously you're expected to get some more precipitation throughout the month. So really, this storm is going to throw everything off, basically is what I'm trying to say. Now, here's our highly above average precipitation region, and you can see it clearly here in this dark green region here from South Carolina, North Carolina, up through Virginia, Maryland, Delmarva, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, New York, and New England. Actually, matter of fact, saying that, I kind of realized that's exactly the same states I listed for the moderate one, but it's basically just slimmer. You can clearly see it on the screen, so I really shouldn't have to break it down. But this is just an area where we are almost certain you are going to end the month with above average precipitation due to the fact that we have first off, a tropical storm coming through these regions that is going to drop probably your average amount of rain, and then also you expect to see multiple inches of rain per month. So we are still going to most likely see your average amount of rain, or around that at least, on top of whatever you get from the hurricane. This is all going to push you way above your average as far as precipitation is concerned. All right, now what we're going to do is we're going to move on and start talking about that very exciting temperature forecast, where I have some good news for a lot of you that want some relief from the heat. All right, now here we are taking a look at the above average temperature region here, and as you can see, this is one of two of them actually. But for our first one here, it's for pretty much the same areas we're expecting the below average precipitation there. So California, Nevada, Four Corner states, the Rockies, and even up through the Pacific Northwest as well. All of these areas are expecting to have some above average temperatures throughout the month of August. I think we're going to have a ridge set up in this region. Also, as we move through the temperature forecast, I wanted to mention one thing that I didn't list on the overall forecast. This is kind of a precursor to our fall pattern, I do believe. I do have my final fall forecast coming out soon, or I might make two this month actually if I need to update it at the very, very end of the month. But nevertheless, I think this August really reflects what I'm expecting in September, October, potentially November, though usually November is a transition month in our weather. But really, again, I think you can expect this pattern to persist well past just the month of August. I think this pattern will continue quite a while. Now here's our moderately above average temperature region, and it really is just for the Four Corner states, Nevada, and then a little bit of California and a little bit of Idaho as well. And this is just areas where we are pretty confident that we are going to have some above average temperatures for this region. All right. Now here is our second above average temperature region, and you can basically see that it's just for the East Coast. Really, we see Ohio and Michigan getting included there, as well as West Virginia, and then little bits there of Alabama, but for the most part, it's the eastern seaboard here, where I think the trough is going to set up just a little bit too far west to most of the time reach the East Coast. I do think you guys will be near normal, at least for the East Coast, and that's probably a relief from what you've experienced throughout the month of July. July was well above normal temperatures, guys, so even though you're still seeing those yellows and oranges, I don't want you to think, oh, great, no relief. I'm telling you now, this is definitely, if this forecast pans out, will be relief from, especially considering what you experienced back in July. This will give you some nice relief from the heat, just a little bit cooler on average, so it's going to be a bit of a relief. But now that we get into the below average temperature region, I want to talk about where I'm especially expecting a relief from the heat, and that's this below average temperature region. The plains down through the south central United States, even through portions of the Great Lakes and the Ohio Valley, even some of the deep south there, Mississippi, Alabama, and Louisiana. All of these regions, I think, could have some slightly below average temperatures. I think we're going to have some little bitty cool downs that are going to move through, and it's just going to bring some very pleasant weather. I think mid, lower 80s, even some of these regions up to the north, you're talking mid 70s as high sometimes. Maybe even lower 70s if you're in I don't exactly know everybody's average, but some of these more northern areas I know could get well into the 70s for some highs, maybe even upper 60s if it's well below average. So we'll just have to see how that plays out. We even have a moderately below average temperature region here, and again, just for the plains mostly here, this is just an area where we're even more confident that you're going to have some below average temperatures. Again, just a very nice relief from the heat. I think this is definitely a precursor to what we could expect throughout the months of September and October as well, possibly November. Now what we're going to do is we're going to move on and start talking about that exciting overall forecast. All right, now here we are taking a look at that overall forecast. And this isn't one of my most eventful overall forecasts, and honestly, the month of August seems kind of slow, and not a lot of heat waves. We're not really expecting many heat waves. The precipitation, nothing crazy going on except for our hurricane ongoing right now, which I guess is very crazy, obviously. The only thing that is crazy here is our very active tropics that we're expecting in that pink area. Let's work it from west to east, though. We have hot and dry conditions expected here for the west coast. Then followed for the Four Corner states in Nevada by a very hot region. That's just an area where I think it is just going to be well above normal temperatures. And if there is going to be a heat wave anywhere, it's obviously going to be here, but your average temperature is a heat wave. So, I mean, that's not really saying much for you guys. Let's go ahead and look at this tan region here, just to the east of that very hot region, and that's where we're expecting dry conditions. Not really too far above normal temperatures, but mostly dry is going to be the biggest factor there. For our deeper blue region here, for the northern plains there, we see cool at times. And by cool, I mean probably upper 60s and lower 70s. It's highs sometimes, which is a very, very nice relief from the heat. This isn't going to be constant though, guys. I don't want your expectations to be too high. This does not mean that the entire month of August is going to be obviously lower 70s and upper 60s. You will still see very hot days. You will still see potentially a heat wave or two, but it doesn't mean your average temperature is going to be above average, because if 20 days in a month are below average and 10 days are above average, you're still below average on the month. I hope that makes sense. Now, the area to the south of this, we're expecting cooler than normal conditions, and you might be wondering, what is the difference between this and cool at times? Well, cool at times means actually cool. Cooler than normal just means a little bit colder than what is anticipated typically, and that doesn't really mean that you're actually going to experience cool temperatures. It's just going to be a little cooler or closer to cool than what is normal. Hope that makes sense. Now, our mint green region down here for Texas and New Mexico and Louisiana as well. Some relief from the heat, though it'll still be hot, obviously, because your average temperature is so high, though there will be some relief from that heat. We've already gone over that tropical region there for the pink region, but really the tropics are going to be out of control active this year, guys. So anything goes. We could potentially see hurricanes in any of these regions, or tropical storms, or none. You know, the tropics are very unpredictable, but just keep your eye open. This could be really, really a wild year for the tropics. Up to the north of there, we have this red region. That's just where it's going to be pretty stormy. We see dry conditions there for portions of the Great Lakes, Ohio Valley, and interior Northeast. Again, I mentioned that already on the precipitation forecast. And then for the very northeastern coast, I am anticipating more rain than what is typical because, again, you have a hurricane, well, a tropical storm now, tracking right for you guys that is going to drop a ton of rain. And then you're still going to see your average amount of rain this month probably, or near it. Even if you saw no rain, most of you would probably cross to the above average column. So I'm almost certain you guys will get more rain than what is typically anticipated. All right, now for today's comment of the day, I asked you guys, how strong do you think Isaias will get as far as peak winds from this point forward, which I'm talking about yesterday on the 3rd. And George Mouse Mules, I'm having such a hard time saying that last name there. That might just be a nickname. I apologize for butchering that, which I most likely did. But he said, I think it'll be peaking at 75 mile per hour right before it hits the Carolinas. And I do agree. I think that's a really good call. Now, here's our patron highlight of the day. I just want to say I thank you all for joining the Patreon. Again, you can, if you want to become a patron and be on this end screen, you can check it out down below in the description and the pinned comment, where you can support the channel and receive some very awesome content. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. Again, be sure to share it with your friends, family, and social media. I will see you guys in the next video.